Good morning and welcome, Patriot Radio News Hour. I'm Joe Jaquint, CEO of the Patriot Trading Group, and how you doing? Welcome to Thursday, the third day of March Madness, and it has been everything you could possibly imagine when we think about, the NCAA tournament and March Madness and Cinderellas and the upsets, and we're living a real life March Madness, and unfortunately not in a good way. The second day in a row, gas prices have jumped here in the valley. Today, we're looking pretty much $4, $3.95 at the cheap. This is just my drive to work. So my drive to work, I start out at the most expensive gas stations. All the gas stations down in North Scottsdale, well over $4 a gallon. And as I get closer to work, it gets a little cheaper. But the cheapest place, which I don't go to, and I won't go into why, but the cheapest is $3.95. So, but get ready. Unfortunately, $3.95 in the next 30 days, 60 days, 90 days is going to be really cheap. I'm starting to get fearful, Jason. Most of the country, gas prices are going to start with a 5 by summer drive.
I think that's very possible, Joe. And it just depends on if things deteriorate quickly or if they deteriorate slowly. It's been, for most people, it's a slow process. They don't see it happening. For us, it's happening quite fastly. So I think $5, but man, you never know. By late summer, it could be $6. It's just,
Well, and again, one of two things are going to happen, right? Which is, and obviously, we're looking here at the Russia thing. That's not changing. And one of the interesting things that's happened, very similar to COVID, where all of a sudden private companies are taking matters into their own hands and actually going to make things a lot worse, not just about energy now. The Maersk, the largest shipper in the world, says, you know what, we won't book any more ships coming in or out of Russia, which just means, hey, even if they were going to allow for purchases of, let's say, crude oil, well, hey, you're not using our ships to do it, so I don't know how you're going to do it. We're not going there. Banks essentially banning countries, customers, lines of credit. Because you got to remember, when you're buying, we're not talking about, when we go out, I buy 13, 14, 15 gallons of gas. That's what we're talking about. Right, we're talking about, I don't even know how to put it into gallons. We're talking about tons and tons of fuel, tons and tons of food and other products. I mean, on a scale so massive, most of us can't even think about it. And how the world works is they get it. They're like, yeah, okay, we'll give you the line of credit, right? Because we know, you're buying cargo ship of wheat or cargo ship of fuel, and we'll extend you the line of credit to buy it, because we know as soon as it gets to your port, you've already got it sold, and they're just waiting, hey, I'm not going to pay for it until I get it, and then you pay it. All that's been blocked. All of it. And so now we're going to see, unfortunately, as we think about March Madness, a lot of things that we didn't even know would be affected are going to be affected. Oil prices are the easy one. That's the most simple one. High fuel prices, that's the most simple one. But it's a lot more than that. And this makes this thing last a lot longer. To Jason's point, this lasts a lot longer. Now we got to totally have to be reliant. If we want prices to fall, it's all going to have to be about demand destruction. And we're talking about demand destruction in millions of barrels of oil a day. So it's got to be a significant demand destruction, Jason, just to get these oil markets back into some kind of balance.
And with the with the population not really shrinking, I don't see, people need energy. Oh, there's no way around it. Obviously, there'll be less demand during the summer in the northern hemisphere, but demand destruction in energy is very difficult, Joe. I mean, people need it. People need, they need all that oil. They need oil. They need natural gas. They need this stuff. And I mean, how much less demand can actually happen? I guess you have to have a huge market. To me, you have to have a huge market crash, Joe, to really shut down energy demand, where people really pinch their pennies.
Well, and that's exactly what would have to play out here. Now all of a sudden, it's amazing how quickly things turn. And all these people that are out there saying, oh no, don't worry, inflation, it's just transitory, and it's just a little temporary supply chain problem. Listen, go back. Jason and I have been calling this thing right down from the very, very beginning. Now all of a sudden, we're starting to see a lot of firms out there changing their tunes and now saying, hey, guess what? We expect inflation to be over 7% for the entire year now. So nowhere near 2%. I mean, essentially what they're saying is, hey, we don't expect inflation to get better at all this year.
I wouldn't be surprised, Joe, with their phony number if it gets close to 10 sometime this year on their phony number that they use. It could easily happen. Easily.
And when you sit there and you think about all of those things, and again, now what else, right? This was something unforeseen. At least it was unforeseen for me, and I still, I'll go to my grave with this. This was easily avoidable, but obviously this is what they wanted to have happen, and my guess is because they wanted to cover up something even worse than this. But when we get back, we're going to talk, is Russia going to default? And what does that mean for the banking system? 800-951-0592. Gold's up 7. And I'll say this, 7 plus here in New York, 1930. Kitco is London. For those of you that on our website, following the spot price there, I want to say that I think they've got it flat. It may even be down $1. And the difference is, for an hour, when New York closes, we call it electronic trading. The London electronic trading, goes on for another hour. So we had a rally yesterday. By the way, two very important things happened yesterday. Number one was, a higher low for gold. This 1920, right now, 1880 is ultimate support now. We think back, it used to, remember, it was 1770, so we've jumped over $100, but 1920 held yesterday, which was a key number for gold, now rallying here today. Silver, which was really one that I was really watching, held $25 yesterday. So that's that, and again, silver right now, under a little bit of pressure, but still holding $25, 15 cents. Right now on the silver price, but from a technical standpoint, a really healthy, some profit taking, but holding higher levels of support. And of course, we know that we got higher highs in both of these metals as well. So things trending in the right direction there. Right now, crude oil, while we were asleep, hit $116, $117. That's how fast crude is moving. There was another one of these Iranian, they're going to agree to let them sell oil legally. It's a good story. Don't buy anything into it. This is just traders trying to make a few dollars. I'll call it a little bit of profit taking today, but crude oil is down 50 cents. But it's at 110 on this Iranian news. Of course, yesterday I told you China's buying every barrel of crude oil Iran will produce illegally, which is now almost 780,000 barrels a day, and they get to buy it at a discount because of it. But Jason, this is something we'll keep our eye on because of the fact that all of these sanctions are being put in place. So just breaking now, Gazprom. That's the Russian major gas producer. You think about the pipeline into Europe with natural gas. That's the company there. Apparently, the landlords in London just threw them out of the building.
Wow. Well,
right, just throwing them out of the building. And again, you got to remember, listen, it's not like you can just, and again, it's not that Russia was this huge economic juggernaut, but they're more important than Canada, right? But they're not as important as, obviously us or China, India, right? They're not as important as Germany or France, GDP-wise. But now we've got a problem of Russian defaults happening all over the place. All of these companies, listen, they have debts, right? I mean, let's face it, part of the cheap money out there, all of these companies, they all did the same thing. Well, you're going to let me borrow money for 1 or 2%? Yeah, I'll just borrow money. Jason, it's going to create a very interesting problem for the banks. And again, we're only a week or so into this. The bigger question is what is going to happen 30, 60, and 90 days from now with all of these what I'll call private sector sanctions on top of what the governments are doing. This is going to lead to cascading defaults. And why do I have a bad feeling that the European banks are going to be especially vulnerable?
Yeah, actually, their system has been in a worse position for the last couple of years than ours here in America, Joe. And when you talk about defaults from Russia, I mean, who knows what to believe? But I've had articles sent to me about Russia and Putin wanting to break away from the central banking cartel worldwide. I've been reading an article that was sent to me. Putin 2 years ago, Putin prohibited Jacob Rothschild and his New World Order banking cabal from operating inside of Russia. This is for 2 years. With this article, I'm trying to figure out whether I can even believe this kind of information. But it's basically saying that Putin and Russia wants to break away from the current banking system. And if that were to be true, Joe, let's just pretend for a moment that's actually true. I don't totally believe that right now. But if that were true, then yeah, defaulting on your debts, well, what a great way to usher in a little strength for being outside of that system, Joe. You damage the old one, right?
Yeah, exactly right. It'd be very, very interesting and we just got to keep an eye on it. Because again, these are things that we don't anticipate happening, that all of a sudden are in play now and just puts the whole system at risk. And as we watch this inflationary things, how is the economy going to hold up? That's going to be huge because all of a sudden, the way I think this is going to happen, and I think all of us can see it, things are getting way too expensive. It's getting harder and harder to afford. It sure seems like, with the printing presses, listen, the Fed hasn't even raised rates yet. That's the other thing. It just blows your mind. They haven't done anything to help. And of course, the problem is can we even really raise rates? And how many rates can we get to? I heard, the other day I told you I watched the Idiot Box because sometimes I like to torture myself. And they were talking about, they were trying to guesstimate. Well, how high could we really go before this whole thing blows up, right? The whole house of cards collapse. And you know what the number they threw out was? 1%. 1%. But if fake inflation's at 7%, right? Well, so what you're saying is, okay, I want to get this straight now. I'm losing a fake 7%. I'm really losing, 15% of my money by the inflation tax. And you think we could get to a whole whopping 1%? Which would what does that put the 10-year note at? Maybe 3%. And who would do that? Would you loan anybody money? Think about this. Hey, I'm going to loan you money. Okay? And I'm going to guarantee that I'm going to lose money by loaning it to you, and I'm going to do that. Yeah, how much am I going to lose? Oh, I'm going to lose 4, 5, 6% every year for 10 years? Oh, yeah, sign me up for that. That's idiotic. And, of course, nobody is willing to do that. And so I guess, Jason, when we sit here and I think about it, and it's just like we said, I don't think they're going to do it. I think they're, at best, we get to 1% before they turn around and run and go the other way. And you better have your gold bought well before they turn around and run, because that's when the big run happens. We're going to see gold rally. We're going to see gold at new all-time highs before they turn around and run. And when they turn around and run, Jason, that's when we want to be in front.
I think you're right, Joe. And with the war that's in place now, and the Pentagon and the British and American governments admitting that this will be 10 to 20 years, which is obscene. For when World War II started, nobody said, "Oh well, this whole Nazi war starting, well, it'll be 10 to 20 years of war." Nobody does this. So with that in place, Joe, it really looks like, hey, we'll just let inflation run, just like you said. We'll act like we're responsible when the markets start to fail or the war gets worse. We'll just go back down to zero. And I think their play, Joe, is we'll just get GDP to try to catch up with the inflation. I think that's kind of their play to just once again kick the can down the road, just one more kick, I guess, Joe.
It's going to be really, really interesting because I think we're going to see defaults. Obviously, most of the Russian companies, if not all Russian companies, are going to probably end up defaulting.
Yes, that could happen, Joe. That could happen.
That's what it looks like, right? That's what it looks like. Why would it end?
Joe, let's listen to this quote from Putin. This is from months and years past. "We used to behave naively, but now we see that the World Trade Organization rules are all too often broken. The restrictions are imposed for political reasons, which they call sanctions. Plus, more and more of them are imposed to secure its favorite competitive advantages." I mean, I'm sure he's looking at the Fed has nowhere to go at the timing of the war. If he is breaking free, the timing of this war would be to cause a lot of strain to the Fed, which has nowhere to go, Joe.
Yeah, well, Jay Powell outlining in front of the Banking Committee today. So today's in front of the Senate Banking Committee, and now saying, "Yep, wow." Just shocking that he's even willing to admit it, that upward pressures are in inflation are coming because of what's happening with Russia, especially from higher commodity and energy costs. And he said at least for a while. No, it's a lot longer for a while. It's not going to help at all with supply chains because ships are not going to be offloaded. So he's going on and on here as to inflation's going to be significantly hotter than he thought. But again, now he's got something to blame it on. But where's the rate hikes? Where are they? Still sticking to, by the way, Jay Powell still sticking to only a 25 basis point rate hike. And again, the only reason to do that is because you really can't fight inflation.
They still haven't tapered down to zero yet either.
I mean, it's gonna happen. It's gonna happen like in the next few weeks, right? We're finally going to stop with the increase in the money. I mean, to Jason's point, we're still increasing the money supply. And again, the problem is why do I have this horrible feeling, Jason? Even when they stop with the bond buying, that they're going to have all these backdoor little programs that we're not going to be able to learn about for several years later through FOIA requests that they never really stopped.
Yeah, and it's like we theorized with the Glenn Beck piece we played about a month and a half ago. If they're dumping $1 trillion into the repo, whatever they stop spending for their purchases, they can just dump into that hole if they want to keep printing, Joe. So they are not going to tell us how much they're printing, and it could quite possibly be $1 trillion a week. I mean, it's insane, but that's
it is going to be absolute insanity. And again, it was going to be insanity without Ukraine. Ukraine changes it all. It really does. I mean, now it just adds another huge factor And I think what we're going to end up with is probably it's going to start with Russian company defaults, and it's going to spread as inflation eats away. We're going to start seeing companies start to fail and defaults running up. And remember, the digital currency is the goal here. That's the real goal. And to Jason's point, was Russia trying to get out of the banking system? Is this why we went to war? The Chinese, today there was a big vote, UN Security Council resolution. But the big thing here was there was 5 countries that, didn't support, Russia was one, North Korea was one. But there was a bunch of countries that abstained. And, Mexico, Brazil, India, China all abstained from punishing Russia, and the Chinese ambassador said, well, what did you think? Why would you bring NATO to Russia's front door? It didn't make sense. And they said, hey, this is why we're abstaining, because why did you do this? And Jason, maybe this is why they did it.
Yeah, that's very well put, Joe. That's quite possibly exactly what's happening.
And of course, all the Biden ties to scummy Ukraine. We'll be back after the break. 800-951-0592, Patriot Radio News Hour, Joe Jaquint, Jason Walker. It's got to be said, right? Is it coincidence, if you believe in that, which I don't, that the Biden family has all these ties to Ukraine, and now this happens? I mean, really? Of all the countries in the world, it's these ties, and I know before the break, scummy Ukraine, and I know that's hurtful right now, because obviously the American media wants us, right? Ukraine's the new darling, right? And again, I've got so much respect for the Ukrainian people that are out there battling the Russians right now. Obviously, that part I love. But let's not kid ourselves. This was a horribly corrupt nation. It was. We know that. Well, how do we know? Look at the Biden family dealings, and as shady can possibly be. Now today, I don't know if you saw it today, first we weren't going to do anything. Right? Then we said, okay, well, we're going to send a few weapons. And then on Monday, they were talking about, hey, maybe we're going to ask Congress for $4 billion. Today, we're now getting ready to ask Congress, they want $10 billion for Ukraine and another 20-something more billion for COVID, because, you can't let a crisis go to waste, right? So you've got to... You've got to go in there, right, and anything you can add to it. So they want to add another $34 billion out of thin air, $10 billion for the Ukraine. And again, it's just you start connecting the dots here. I'm totally on board with the Chinese ambassador to the UN saying, what did you expect? Why would we bring NATO to the Russians' doorstep? And again, this is they're of no importance whatsoever, Jason.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Romney ran for president in 2012 and said that Russia is going to be our biggest enemy, and he has oil and natural gas interest in that country, Ukraine, just like Biden. So it makes.
I wonder how many, right? I wonder. We know about the Biden thing and Hunter Biden. I wonder how many more of our so-called elected officials and high dollar net worth have vested interest in the Ukraine. By the way, this is coming out of France. The French president today, Macron, had what he says was a 90-minute conversation with Vladimir Putin this morning. Says the worst is to come.
Yep.
The worst is to come on the ongoing crisis in Ukraine. Macron concluded that Putin wants total control of Ukraine, that the Russian leader appears intent on seizing the whole country. So there you have it. This thing's not going away. It really backs up what Jason told us yesterday about how our intelligence officials are telling the Biden White House, hey, this thing's going to be 10 to 20 years.
And, Joe, if Putin and Russia are actually breaking out of the world central banking cartel, they have their own independent central bank for Russia only, this will go on for a long time because this is a nuclear-armed country. Whether their economy is big or not won't matter that much. And, you know, we're seeing what our televisions want us to see, which is this is a horrible thing happening to the Ukrainian people. But what if the majority of the country still actually wants to be a part of the Russian economy, and they want to move out of the global system? Then the war you have there is more of a civil war, Joe. That's kind of what's probably actually happening. It's probably more of a civil war.
Yeah, and again, the other side of this, I think, too, to point out, is this push to electric.
Yep.
Which, of course, in solar and wind, which we told you that it doesn't work. The math doesn't work. I'd love for the math to work.
Maybe it's a desperate.
It doesn't.
Joe, maybe that's a desperate attempt to push Russia out. You know, hey, if Russia is going to be in oil and we get the whole world into electric, they won't matter if they break away. They'll be insignificant.
And make energy prices so high.
Yep.
That now all of a sudden, well, the math is going to work a lot better.
Yep.
Right? The math for electric cars works a lot better if gasoline is $5, $6, $7, dare I say, $10 a gallon. And people want $10 a gallon, calm it down. Listen, California, the most expensive places in California are already over $7.
Makes sense if Biden's shutting down oil reserve ability, Joe. It's sure the evidence supports that, Joe.
Well, and even the private sector, I'm watching what our private sector companies are doing, because I really think that Europe, especially Germany, hey, let's sanction them with everything but energy, right? Let's keep the gas going, keep the oil going, and it looks like the private companies have taken that away now. Now, it doesn't matter. Hey, it's not happening. And I'm going to tell you right now, if Russia's only allowed to sell oil to China, right, because the Chinese will do it, and maybe India, but if they can't do any other oil anywhere else, oil's not stopping at 120. Oil's not stopping at 150. Right? We will see $200 a barrel oil because there's going to be something else. Right? A hurricane, a pipeline explosion, whatever it may be. And Jason, just drive these prices out of sight. Let me tell you, unleaded gas, I've been talking about this. So on Friday, unleaded gas closed at about $2.70, $2.75. Right this second, unleaded gas futures, $3.35. That's 65 cents a gallon more than it was on Friday. I don't think people understand what's really going to happen here.
If Russia can't do business with the rest of the world, but China wants cheap oil, they'll get it from Russia, won't they, Joe?
Well, that's what China's done with Iran, right? You know what? And I love they act like Iran's not selling oil. They are. They just got to sell that. China loves it, right? I bet you right now, China's buying Russian crude oil for $80, $90 a barrel max.
I agree, Joe.
But
Absolutely.
this is something, again, the whole thing, this is to bring in, as far as I'm concerned, this is to go electric. This is to bring in the digital currency. This is going to be a huge global reset. We've had, I can't even tell you how many customers call in and say, my bank doesn't have any cash. What's going on, right? Get ready. Cash is going away. And I think this is kind of the start of it all. As we keep watching this play out, and after the French president now, Katie by the door here, we'll be back with the gold special. 800-951-0592. Jay Powell testifying in front of the Senate Banking Committee. Nobody's going to confuse this guy with Einstein. But apparently, Jason, even Jay Powell's figured it out. Yeah, this Ukraine thing, yeah, that's going to add a lot to the inflation pile. Gold's now up 10, 1932. I've got a really good special, something we don't run these very often because we just can't get quantities very often. But the 1/10 ounce American Gold Eagle. And you know what? I sit there and I think about what happened with the Canadians and getting their bank accounts confiscated. I promise you in the Ukraine right now, the citizenry there that's left that couldn't get it. If you have 1/10 ounce gold Eagles, you're going to be able to get things. This is the smallest form of gold that isn't outrageously expensive. You can find like 1 gram bars and things like that, but you're going to pay like $3,500 an ounce, something crazy like that. But this is government hallmarked 1/10 ounce American Gold Eagles. I got just a huge buy. And here's the great part is I've got 10 rolls. That means I've got 500 1/10 ounce American Gold Eagles available. They come in rolls of 50. You don't have to buy a whole roll. You can buy 1, 5, 10. You can buy, there's 500 of them if that's what you want to do. They're normally $265. I've got these for $250. And when you think about like a $5 Liberty, you're almost getting a 10th ounce for almost the same price as $5 Liberties. So if you got 4 $5 Liberties and you had 10 10th ounce, the price is almost the exact same, which just tells you how valuable fractional gold is. So 1/10 ounce American Gold Eagles, they're $250 a piece. If you want a roll of 50, it's $12,500. If you buy the roll and you're not a pickup, we'll throw in the shipping for free if you buy a roll or more of 10th ounce at 800-951-0592. And just remember, I only have 500 of them. That's all that we have. But really, Jason, it's a great fractional material in the, I'll call it hey, just in case it really rolls downhill. We haven't talked a lot about blackouts. I think that is going to be very, very prevalent all over the globe over the next at least 5 years, especially now with sky-high energy prices. Any little thing, these power operators, they're only buying exactly what they need. And anytime it spikes, there's always problems in having the power out for a prolonged period of time. You can't buy gas without power. You can't buy food. The stores will be closed, right? Nothing's open. Having some of these available to barter to get things with, not necessarily a crazy bad idea.
That's right, Joe. It's gold at a price that if you're not in the 2,000, 3,000, 4,000 to buy several ounces of gold, if your budget's a little smaller, but you'd like to get some gold, and of course, usually when your budget's lower, you go to silver. That's why we sell gold and silver. But this is a way to get a 10th ounce of gold. And I say to all the customers that come in, we're always, Joe, we're always having to educate the new customers. Well, if you add up 10 of them, well, that's $2,500. Why would I do that? Well, you buy gold with a higher premium. When you sell it, you get a higher premium back when you sell it. So it goes both ways, Joe. People, I don't think they get this. A lot of people that try to stay away from fractional gold is like because the premium's too high. Well, it's also more valuable when you sell it too. So that's just the way it works. More expensive silver, you sell it back more expensive. The cheaper silver you buy, the more cheaper it is when you sell it back. That's right, Joe. A 100-ounce silver bar is going to get a lower premium when you sell it to us than silver Eagles would.
Oh, and it's not even close. Yeah, I mean, and they're pretty significant. Jason's right, premiums, but premiums are up on everything.
Yes.
And to save, like I said, these are $265. This is a huge discount. And the fact of the matter is these are very difficult to get. The Mint can't make enough of them. The Mint has a hard enough time making 1 ounce Silver Eagles and 1 ounce Gold Eagles. And again, when we're sitting here and we're watching how all of this plays out, I think, and for most of our customers, I say, we've got, 3 types of customers, right? We've got the one customer that is, hey, listen, I want the most private gold you got, because everyone wants to be private, but I want it at the cheapest price, right? Okay, so that's your $20 gold pieces. That's your 1 ounce gold pieces. Then you have what I'll call the prepper. Hey, you know what? I'm not worried about that. I'm worried about I'm going to have to barter. I'm going to have to use gold and silver to get things, especially if we go digital. Believe me, gold and silver is going to be super important in a digital economy. Those are the people like Jason that, hey, I'm buying junk silver, utility silver, 10th ounce gold eagles. Like the biggest piece they would buy is maybe a quarter ounce.
And Joe, versus
right?
Versus the normal price of $265, you buy 20 of these today, you're essentially the 20th one's free. That's $300 savings.
I'm going to tell you right now, the first time I worked here, right when I first started, you could get a roll of 10th ounce for less than $1,800. It was like $36 a coin when I first started here. So just to give you an indication, 800-951-0592. We do have a line open. Just wait. We'll get you in order that you called. Patriot Radio News Hour. We'll be back right after the break. 800-951-0592. All lines are busy right now. We'll get to you in the order that you called. We just had a line open. 800-951-0592. It's the 10th ounce American Gold Eagles. We only had 500 of them. They're just flying out here, $250, saving $15 a coin. I also have them online. Listen, for all you new listeners out there, we don't bait and switch. We don't play games with you. This is the coin we want you to buy today. You just call us up and say, I want the special. Ready for the hard question we're going to ask you? How many would you like? That's going to be our hard question. They come in rolls of 50. They're the size of a dime. They're the golden dime. As we like to call them. They're the size of the dime. They're 1/10 of an ounce of gold. They come in this small little tube. If you want a whole tube of them, that's 50 of them in a tube, $12,500 for the tube. If you buy 50 or more, because you can buy more, if you buy 50 or more, and you're not a pickup, we'll throw in the shipping for you at no charge. 800-951-0592. So before the break, we're talking about the types of customers we have, right? 10% of our customers are I want the cheapest I can get and stay private. That's all I care. I don't care about it. I just want to buy the cheapest. Right? You're buying, $20 gold pieces. Then you got the prepper. Hey, I'm going to need it to barter with and all of this stuff. And I think about when they outlaw cash, because that's coming. There's going to be a lot more barter going on in the world, and especially in the United States. I think gold and silver is going to have a big part of that. This is one of the barter coins. This is their favorite gold coin for the barter people. And that's about 10% of our clients. The other 80%, they're like, hey, I'm the first one, right? I want to, and of course it just makes sense. Yeah, I want to pay the least amount possible and stay private. But, hey, those prepper guys? Starting to see some of their logic. And they end up becoming and saying, yeah, when the price is right, yeah, I'm going to add some of that fractional stuff to the portfolio. Right, Jason?
That's exactly right, Joe. There's no reason not to put your savings into gold and silver, especially where we're at today. I've been doing this on the air with Patriot for 4 years, and this is probably the best moment to get into gold and to put more into it than in the whole 4 years I've been here, Joe. This is the things are going on in the world, man. This is a great time
without
to
a
jump in.
doubt.
So
There's so much happening in the world today. And we talk about even Jay Powell, who can't see 2 feet in front of his face when it comes to inflation, is out there testifying today. Yeah, this is a problem. This is a problem. The only thing up today is gold. The Dow's down 100 plus points. The Nasdaq's down 100 plus points. The S&P's down. Oil's down today. I don't buy it. And again, it hit the highest it's been since 2008 earlier this morning. Right now, gold's down 40 cents at $110 and change. But
oil did rally late yesterday, Joe. It gained quite a few
it
dollars.
was a big rally, some profit taking.
It could happen again today.
I'm telling you right now, I'm listening to what that French president said. Oil prices are going to be a lot higher for a lot longer, and people need to be prepared for that. Inflation is going to get worse before it gets better. 800-951-0592.